बंगळुरू येथे पार पडलेल्या 11व्या राष्ट्रकुल संसदीय मंडळ अखिल भारतीय परिषदेच्या सत्रात महाराष्ट्र विधान परिषद उपसभापती डॉ. नीलम गोऱ्हे यांनी प्रभावी भाषण केले. लोकशाहीची खरी ताकद ही विधायक फलदायी आणि जनाभिमुख चर्चेत असल्याचे ठामपणे सांगत त्यांनी महाराष्ट्राच्या ऐतिहासिक चौथ्या महिला धोरणाला तसेच नमो शक्ती विधेयकाला विशेष अधोरेखित केले. डॉ. नीलम गोऱ्हे यांनी सांगितले की परिस्थितीने काळानुसार महिलांसाठी धोरणे तयार करून त्यांची अंमलबजावणी करणारे महाराष्ट्र विधिमंडळ हे देशात अग्रणी ठरले आहे. ही आतापर्यंतची मोठी उपलब्धी असून इतर राज्यांसाठी महाराष्ट्राने दिशादर्शक भूमिका बजावली आहे. त्यांनी स्पष्ट केले की महाराष्ट्राने गेल्या 3 दशकात महिलांसाठी ठोस आणि दूरगामी धोरणात्मक वाटचाल केली आहे. 1994 मध्ये मुलींना मुलाप्रमाणेच वारसा हक्क मिळावे याबाबतचा पहिला ऐतिहासिक निर्णय घेण्यात आला. 2002 मध्ये दुसऱ्या धोरणाद्वारे जेंडर रिस्पॉन्सिव्ह बजेट, महिलांचे आर्थिक सबलीकरण आणि सर्व समान संधी ह्यावर निर्णय झाले. 2013 मध्ये तिसऱ्या धोरणातून अव्यवस्थित क्षेत्रातील महिला, नव्या कायद्यांचा पाया आणि कौटुंबिक न्यायालय सर्वत्र करण्याचा निर्णय झाला. 2023 मध्ये चौथ्या महिला धोरणातून संयुक्त राष्ट्राचे शाश्वत विकास उद्दिष्टे आणि बिल्डिंग प्लॅटफॉर्म ऑफ ॲक्शन स्थानिक संदर्भात समाविष्ट करून प्रत्येक खात्यासाठी ठोस निर्देशिके ठरवण्यात आली. ही धोरणे केवळ कागदावर नाहीत तर विधान परिषद आणि विधानसभेत सखोल चर्चेनंतर लोकाभिमुख मार्गाने साकार झाली. मला 2019 मध्ये महिलांच्या सबलीकरण आणि SDGs बाबत ठराव मांडण्याचा सन्मान मिळाला. 2 दिवस चर्चेचा समारोप तेव्हाच्या मुख्यमंत्री यांनी केला होता. हे महाराष्ट्राच्या लोकशाही वारशाचे उदाहरण आहे असे डॉ. नीलम गोऱ्हे यांनी सांगितले. लाडकी बहीण योजनेतून राजकारणात महिलांचा मतदानातील सहभाग वाढलाच. महिलांसाठी आखलेल्या विविध योजनांचा उल्लेख करताना मुलींना थेट आर्थिक मदत मिळावी, शिक्षण व सबलीकरणाचा पाया मजबूत व्हावा हे धोरणात्मक चर्चेचे फळ आहे. विधिमंडळातील चर्चा व त्यातून राजकीय धोरण हा लोकशाहीचा पाया असल्याचे डॉ. नीलम गोऱ्हे यांनी नमूद केले. डॉ. नीलम गोऱ्हे यांनी नमो शक्ती वंदन विधेयक ह्या महिलांच्या राजकीय निर्णय प्रक्रियेत 33% आरक्षण देणाऱ्या महत्त्वपूर्ण कायद्याचा उल्लेख केला. पंतप्रधान नरेंद्र मोदी यांनी आणलेल्या या विधेयकामुळे देशभरातील महिला व मुलींच्या नेतृत्वाच्या संधीस अधिक बळकटी मिळणार आहे. अशा निर्णयांमुळे शासकीय चौकट बदलतेच महिलांच्या मनात आत्मविश्वास आणि शक्ती निर्माण होते. महिलांच्या सक्षमीकरणासाठी महाराष्ट्राने केलेले योगदान केवळ कायदेशीर चौकटीत मर्यादित नाही. विधानसभेबरोबर विधान परिषदेतही महिलांनी मांडलेले प्रश्न, उपस्थित केलेल्या मागण्या आणि सक्रिय भागीदारी ही खरी ताकद आहे. महिलांच्या प्रश्नासाठी समितीची स्थापना हा आपल्या राज्याचा संवेदनशील आणि विधायक दृष्टिकोन आहे. या परिषदेबद्दल ओमप्रकाश बिर्ला, लोकसभा अध्यक्ष हरिवंश राय तसेच CPAचे जनरल सेक्रेटरी स्टीफन टेविंग, महाराष्ट्र विधान परिषद सभापती राम शिंदे, विधानसभा अध्यक्ष राहुल नार्वेकर यांच्या सहकार्याबद्दल अभिनंदन केले.
And dialogue within legislative council, and we were able to find out 100 different debates which have influenced our state, and we are thinking also to translate them in Indian English. I would like to request that similarly, as we are having this function, maybe we can come out with few books and documentation of last 100 years, which laws have been achieved, what are the big debates and dialogue happening in Karnataka Assembly and Council, and along with that, if there are some memorable speeches of the eminent leaders, those speeches also give us total history of the state and history of the nation. So I would like to congratulate initially. Secondly, I would like to say that when we are talking about debates and dialogue, whether there is any space in our mind to listen to others. Generally, society does a lot of criticism on politicians that only we are very eager to speak and we are not ready to listen. So any politician who wants to be successful, and all of you, all the members in the dignitaries are successful politicians because we are here. But on the other hand, art to listen, something needs to be reminded again and again within assembly and within council also, basically, because really when somebody or any delegate is there making a debate, what to speak and what not to speak, what Mr. Mahana said initially, that whether it is only description of the constituency or whether it is something related with the content of the debate. Secondly, it must have some solution and it must have an action plan when we are debating. Sometimes there can be political differences, but irrespective of that, there can be consensus, and this consensus will lead to a meaningful debate. Also, my another question is that, are we listening to voices in our assemblies and councils which are unheard? Many times new issues are cropping up, and here I would like to say humbly that half of the population should not be neglected. They are women in our society. While legislative debate is a powerful tool for all, its significance is perhaps most profound when it addresses historical injustices and aspirations of our nation's women. For too long, women's issues were relegated to the margins of political discourse, often treated as secondary concern. Sir, with respect for all, I have sometimes listened that if a minister is not functioning well, in joke, people say that let him make a minister for women and child. So I think this is gender bias within ourselves. We consider women and child department or social justice department, which are not having that much value. Actually, those should be the important departments. For too long, be a true democracy cannot thrive when half of its population is silenced or sidelined. It is in the hallowed halls of the legislature that we must actively and deliberately champion the cause of women. This involves not only debating laws on gender equality, but also ensuring that our policies address the specific challenges women face for economic empowerment and equal pay put to protection for violence and access to health culture. When it reserves seats for women in local governance, it empowers a new generation of leaders to directly represent their communities. Since 1993, after having the reservation in local self-government and municipal corporation, Jilla Parishad, 50% women, so there are more than million of women who are in the decision-making process. But here I would like to mention that the Namo Shakti Vandan Videyak has been passed in the Parliament by Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Ji Modi, and it has given hope of that the tunnel, which was not having any end, but this tunnel, it has opened the way for a super fast, rapid progress for women in the decision making. And also our Parliament and Rajya Sabha has made a history that with a thumping majority these bills have been passed, and in Rajya Sabha there was not a single negative vote which went against it, was passed unanimously. So if we had imagined before 10 years that this will be passed unanimously, nobody would have believed. But we have got at least some progress in that, and we are hopeful by 2029 we will be able to implement it properly. Sir, notable examples about from Maharashtra are that 4 policies for women have been formulated in the state. First in 1994, which gave rights to daughters in property along with sons. Second policy was created, discussed and finalized in 2002. This policy focused on gender responsive budget, economic empowerment of women and gender equality in every sector. Third policy for women was discussed and finalized in 2013. This policy highlighted women in unorganized sector and new laws, especially family courts for women. Fourth policy was formulated in 2023, which views SDGs and Platform for Action document in the 4th World Women's Conference, which was held in Beijing in 1994, in the local context with tangible indicators for every department. All policies were debated and discussed in Council and Assembly every time for more than 2 to 3 days. I felt very happy and honored to put resolution on SDG and empowerment of women in 2019 in Council, which was put forth by the Vidhan Sabha Adhyaksha and Vidhan Parishad Sabhapati in both the houses, and they were not the resolutions of opposition or the ruling party, but they were the resolutions by Speaker and the Assembly Chairman and the Speaker. And we were supposed to initiate the discussion, and then everybody will talk on that, and it was answered by the Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and then it culminated into the policy for women. At a national level, I will request Commonwealth Parliamentary Association to think about for facilitating policy for women at the national level too. Because in 2001, the first national policy was announced by Sumitra Ji Mahajan when she was the Women and Child Minister, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee was the Prime Minister. In last 23 years, many decisions have been taken by both the governments at the center regarding the census, role of women in the census, the gender responsive budget, the new laws, the BNS, but still national policy for women has not been come out to, so if CPA takes initiative in the Parliament and Rajya Sabha, that will be a very remarkable contribution. Furthermore, Maharashtra has come out with Ladki Bahin scheme and various other women-centric schemes as a impact of these debates happening into assembly in the council, because most of the MLAs came with the lot of suggestions regarding implementation schemes, because the institutional mechanisms all over the states, in every state, they are quite weak. Whatever we decide very nice on the paper, it reaches at the downfall, it's very weak sometimes. So this Ladki Bahan scheme and other various women-centric schemes, where policy initiatives are a direct legislative of the legislative will and discussions held to uplift girls and women. Such schemes which provide financial assistance to girl children are a testament to legislature's effort to translate noble intentions into tangible support for its citizens. Now, Ladli Bahena, people used to just say Bahena, sisters, but now because there has been different in the assembly election results, lot of people are very much afraid of Ladli Bahena because they made the politics to change and they have become a critical mass of women. So today, our favorite sisters have created history in the state and I am quite honored to be part of the process. The contribution of Maharashtra is not limited to legal framework alone, but there are women leaders also, senior leaders. The presence of dedicated committee to women's rights and welfare in Maharashtra underscores the seriousness with which the state approaches these issues. It is the combination of legislative infrastructure, dedicated representation that has allowed Maharashtra to play leadership role in women's rights advocacy and legislation. I must mention our Adhyaksha and Sabhapati also has been very cooperative for taking this resolution. Though there are very few presiding officers in this hall, I would like to say, and I would like to have my suggestion, that is my last point, that whether we can have a women MLAs of all over India, MLAs and MLCs, one convention, basically to set the agenda for the national policies, what they are deciding from the grassroots voices, and also whether we can come out with presiding officers. There are very few, like women are from Surama Madam is from Odisha. There are also 2 or 3 other members. Whether we are not even reservation, we are not even 2% also. So what happens is that only we talk about 10% about women. So 90% of the debate is only related with without mentioning gender specific issue. So we have to also come out with solution on this. So I feel that this is not a debating platform, but however it is my duty to give special attention to the historical struggles and aspirations of women to ensure that our democracy is not just representative in name but in spirit. Maharashtra has shown its path forward, a path of inclusive, compassionate and robust legislative action. A small mention that after having Maharashtra as an independent state, I am the first woman deputy chairperson. So this is my opportunity talk, and initially I was not hopeful whether I will get time to speak or not, but you have been very considerate about Maharashtra. So I request you to be more and more considerate on many other issues too. Thank you.